Hey, Tom here, 365 Outdoors, packing it in here at Indian Pass, Florida, near Port St. Joe. It's my RV in the background. Was biking a couple days ago. Did not get to do any backpacking just due to squalls and just inclement bad weather here at Indian Pass. There's the pass right there. Lots of sharks fishing in there, red fishing, trout fishing, whiting, depending on the time of year. Across the way there is St. Vincent's Island. 50 years ago, I came up here, 17 years old, to go deer hunting on that island. I had a boat in my Datsun pickup truck, a motor, a one-man tent, and adventure on the mind. And I got here late in the evening from St. Petersburg, ready to do a 4-day hunt on St. Vincent's Island. And I got my boat. It was windy like it is today. I got my boat, put my Apache motor on that motor on the boat, and headed out into the pass to make sure everything was working. It was late in the evening. Coast Guard cutter was going out to the pass, and I flipped my boat about a third of the way out. Luckily, some other hunters who had their boats saw me flip, went out, rescued me as I was heading out, and we took that motor here at the Indian campground at the time. It was a fish camp, and they had a trough for putting your outboard motors in and running your motors after pulling them out of the salt water. And gentlemen helped me out, and we submerged that motor, cranked the motor under the water, pulled the spark plugs, emptied out the oil, got the motor out, cranked it a whole bunch of times to spit the water out of these cylinders, and we got that motor running again. And that motor ran for 3 days and allowed me to hunt St. Vincent's Island. I killed the biggest hog of my life, probably 230-pound hog on that island with my bow. And the way I did it is you camped in ditches at the end of the pass here, and you had your boats. These beaches would be lined up with hunters' boats, and they'd go across in the morning, and they'd beach right there. And what you do is you either, where you wanted to hunt, you would walk down the middle of the island on the trails going down the middle of the island, or you could walk down the beaches and cut in. My preference is I scouted the island out and I found some good areas. This is 17 years old. I walked down 45 minutes and then I would cut in. And this would be at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. 17 years old, what an adventure for a young man, right? On the third day, I shot a big hog, probably 2 ridges in on the island, and I missed the meat wagon that the game wardens had at the time, where they had an old Willys Jeep pulling an old trailer. And what you would do is you would meet this Jeep after your hunt in the evening, and you had to catch it at the right time, or you would wind up having to walk back to camp and get in your boat and come back across this pass at night, which you'd have to do anyway. And I missed that meat wagon, so I took that hog and I told another hunter, please tell them to meet me on the beach if they can and come down and get me. So I took that hog to the beach. And this was that night, starry night. I can remember seeing the Milky Way, dragging that hog on the beach in the water back towards my boat. And right there at that point is where right about near is where my boat was. And luckily, I remember seeing 2 headlights coming down the beach way in the distance, and it wound up being that meat wagon. And they finally picked me up, and I brought my hog back and checked it in, and then put it in the boat, and headed back home the next morning with that hog gutted and stuffed full of ice, and all the way up into the chest cavity, and took that hog back home. That motor wound up freezing up on me. I never used that motor again. And here I am 50 years later, camping at the same campground in my RV, enjoying an outing, biking. Tried to go kayaking, it's just too windy. Anyway, if the gentleman who rescued me that evening 50 years ago happened to see this, I want to thank you for not letting me become shark bait. All right, thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed my little story, and more hunting adventures to come in the next couple months here in North Florida and Alabama.